Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tracy in LA, the podcast. We're now on episode 32, and it's actually Monday today. I don't usually shoot on Monday because I try to release it by Tuesday morning. So I'm shooting on Monday, very last minute, and then I'm going to edit it today and try to upload it and try to get it all done by tomorrow. We'll see if that actually happens. If it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. Except, again, for those of you that really anticipate this on Tuesday morning. But hopefully we'll get it out and it'll be fine. The reason I'm doing this today, kind of last minute, is because, okay, first of all, I need to get a drink of water. And I want to show you guys my new water bottle. It's an Owala still, but it's really fancy. It's got this design on it. The style is called Midnight Rodeo. And it's like these cool flower. It kind of looks like, what are those stencils called where you can make cool designs that you used to use in grade school? Like a chiropractor? Was it called a chiropractor? Isn't a chiropractor what you go to get like your neck cracked and stuff? But wasn't it called a chiropractor? Those plastic, they came in like different neon colors, and they were plastic stencil things, and you would use a pencil or something and you would make different circle shapes and stuff. And I feel like that's what my water bottle looks like, but it's gold and dark blue and black and has a little bit of brown, and I feel like it sort of matches my hair color, and I really like it. Okay, I'm going to tell you the story of this water bottle, but I need to get a drink of it first because my mouth is dry. So 1 second. I had ordered a more normal looking one on Amazon, and it was going to come the next day, which I was really happy about because my old water bottle broke. I think I told you guys that last time. I really kept that one for as long as possible, and I really liked it. But I was turning the top of it to take it off to wash it, and I gripped it too tight, and I gripped it sort of by the handle, and then the handle popped off and it like cracked. So I can no longer hold the bottle by the handle, and also it was a little bit dangerous with the wire that was sticking out, so I definitely need to get a new one as soon as possible, and I need a water bottle because I go to dance class and I have to have water, yada yada. So I ordered it from Amazon. It was supposed to come the next day, but I got it. I did get it. Actually, I think I got it a day later than they said. But apparently the Amazon guy threw the package. I know because one of my roommates said he saw it on the camera, but he threw the package towards the door. And yeah, when I opened it, it was cracked a little. Well, the paint was chipped and it was a little bit dented. And I just wanted it so bad. It almost was like, who cares? It's going to get chipped and dented eventually anyways. Then I was like, no, that's crazy. This is new. It should look new. I'm going to return this. Fortunately, it's easy enough to return stuff to Amazon, but I was just like, why does it look like this? Why did they send it to me like this? Then my roommate told me that he saw on the camera that the guy just like kind of chucked it at the door. And I'm like, yeah, that's why they probably shouldn't do that. So anyways, also the color that came, I thought it was going to be black with a little bit of teal or some other color pop in it, but it was actually more like gray. And I really didn't want gray. I wanted black to match my purse, which is black. So I was like, I don't like this color anyway, so it's a blessing in disguise that it was chipped and dented because now I definitely am going to take it back. So I took it back. I was going to order another one from Amazon, but then I was like, you know what? I think Target has these. Let me see which ones Target has, and I'm just going to go to Target and get it because I just need it as soon as possible. So I had in mind the color I wanted to get from Target, which was white. I think it was a mix of white and black and some other color. I don't know. It was pretty just classic. I generally go for neutral classic colors for things that I'm going to use every day. The only reason why my other water bottle was like bright reddish pink is because someone got it for me, and I really cherish gifts that people give me, and so I really liked it, but it's not the color I would have chosen myself. But also I think that's why it's fun when people give you gifts, because sometimes you can really start to enjoy something that you would have never picked for yourself. Or you're like, actually, I feel like this is me, even though I would have never picked it for me. Another reason why the manna season is so great, like living by whatever God provides for you, is because also in that type of season, you also end up learning that you like things you didn't realize you liked because you would have never picked it for yourself. Like I would have never picked to live with animals. Even though I love animals, I'm sort of a clean freak and I don't really like hair on things or noises or things like that. I would have never chosen to live with animals if I had a ton of money and could just pick my own place and decide all the choices. But God was like, you are going to live with animals. And every single place I've lived with animals recently. And also I watch everybody's animals. So I'm always living with animals, it seems like. And I have so enjoyed living with animals. But I would not have picked that for myself. So I just think gifts from people, gifts from God are really cool things because we think we know what we want, but maybe we actually want something else. And God knows even more what we want. And other people give us gifts from their heart, and we can just really cherish them, even if it's not what we would have picked for ourselves. So anyway, all that to say, I was going to get a more neutral colored water bottle from Target. But when I got there, they had those along with some others. And I was kind of just, reevaluating to make sure that was still the one that I wanted. But in the midst of all the water bottles, there was one water bottle that looked like this that was on clearance. Not for like a crazy clearance, but it was a little bit of money off. And it was the last one like it. And I was like, wait, do I kind of want that super unique one or is that crazy? I really wanted to get a more simple classic one, but I don't know. That unique one is calling my name a little bit. So I kept looking at it. I really wanted to take my time to stare at all the water bottles forever and just keep looking at it. I literally wanted like a mirror. Like, what does it look like when I'm holding this one? I feel like it's an outfit I'm trying on. And so I was really taking my time. And then this group of teenage guys came into the aisle to get a water bottle as well. And I was just like, okay, I hope they pick their water bottle quickly and get out of here because like I'm busy by myself in this aisle looking at this water bottle. I don't need anyone on my shoulder like seeing how long I look at this water bottle for. I literally was feeling like that. Like I was feeling annoyed at them. Even though they weren't doing anything wrong, they were also looking for a water bottle. But I was like irritated. Like, why are they in my water bottle? Why are they in my water bottle aisle with me? This is my aisle right now. Don't they know I need all the space and privacy to decide on my water bottle right now? And it was so funny because it was the one guy that needed a water bottle and his friends were with him, like, and helping him decide. And he was also taking forever to pick his water bottle. And he also kept overthinking it. And I was getting annoyed with him, even though he was doing the same thing as me. It was so funny. And then they were like, he was saying he had to get a new water bottle because he lost his water bottle. But then his friends were like, but isn't that at so-and-so's house or isn't it in this building? And he was like, yeah. And they're like, aren't you just going to get it later? And he was like, yeah. But it was like this weird conversation where they were even trying to decide if he actually needed a new water bottle or not. So I was getting kind of caught up in like their drama of the water bottle. But meanwhile, I'm like, oh, Tracy, focus. Like you need to figure out what water bottle you want. So anyway, eventually I just was like, I'm going to go with the unique one. Who am I kidding? Like, this is the one I want. I keep looking at it. I think what really did it for me is the texture. I love the texture. I love texture in general, like the way clothes feel, the way different things feel. And this water bottle feels really cool with the texture of the designs. Whereas when I was overly feeling the original water bottle I was going to get, it kind of felt sort of like a chalkboard, which I never thought about before because I've had that water bottle, the same type of water bottle for many years, and I haven't thought that it felt like a chalkboard. But this time when I was comparing it to the textured one, I was like, ooh, I kind of don't like the way this one feels. It kind of feels weird, and I don't like that feeling. So I went with the textured water bottle, and then as I was carrying it to the register, I passed by a mirror and looked at myself in the mirror with water bottle. I was like, yeah, I feel like it kind of goes with my hair, which we don't really know what my hair color is. Some people say it's light brown. Some people say it's dark blonde. Recently, I went somewhere where somebody was like, oh, it's all the redheads. And I like looked around like, wait, is she including me in that? And like, yes, she was. I was like, oh, wait, am I one of the redheads? And I really don't think that I have red hair, but sometimes people think I have red hair. And I think it's just the way the lighting hits it sometimes. It has like a slight tint of red sometimes. So we don't really know what color my hair is, but the water bottle has a goldish color and also a light brown color. So I feel like it sort of goes good with my hair. And I felt like that when I saw it in the mirror. So I was like, yes, I feel good about getting this water bottle. Used it all week, was like, yes, this was a good choice. I love this water bottle. Hopefully it lasts a really long time. I'm trying to be cautious when I turn the top of it so that I never turn it by the handle so that that never breaks. And anyways, that's where we're at with the water bottle. Wow, telling that story kind of got me in a good mood. I was sort of in a bad mood when I got here to do this podcast. I was kind of in a bad mood. I feel like my bangs are in my face. Hold on a second. I have these long bangs kind of stick in my eyes for some reason. Anyways, yeah, I was kind of in a bad mood because, I don't know, well, I didn't have my dance class today. Oh, this is what I was going to talk about, was the reason I'm able to do this today. Well, I was going to have to do it today no matter what, but I have extra time today because my class was canceled. Sometimes I think when my regular dance class is canceled, I get in a bad mood because I just don't have that joy that I have when I go to dance class. Like, it's not there. It's like taken from me, and I'm like, oh, I'm sad today. Why am I sad? It's probably because I'm not going to dance class. But also my bank account is low. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But the reason I have more time today, well, class was canceled. Okay, wow, guys, this is crazy. I am back, and if the sound sounds better, that is because I am now using a different microphone. It is the DJI wireless version 3, which is the version I've wanted to get for a while, but today I was forced to borrow my roommate's, who has this mic, which is so crazy that I live with someone who has the mic I needed when my other mic broke. Because what happened was I recorded the first 10 minutes of the podcast, was going great, and then my phone fell over, which, you know, has happened before. It's not that big of a deal. So I went to set it back up, went and did another mic test, and then all of a sudden it was like my microphone would not connect to like the receiver of my microphone set from DJI, which is the first version of DJI wireless mics. It would not connect to my phone. So I kept trying to record and testing it, but it was just recording off my phone. It wasn't recording through the mic, and the sound was terrible, and you could hear the air conditioning, and it was really bad. And I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot record like this. And I was Googling on my phone, like troubleshooting how to fix it, like why isn't it working? And I tried everything that it said on the internet, and nothing was working. And the fact is, my DJI wireless mic version 1 has been breaking down for the past year or so. Like, the internal recording doesn't work anymore, which is more of an emergency thing. Like, if for some reason my phone doesn't record it or something mutes on my phone, I can still extract the internal recording. That stopped working on one of the mics, then it stopped working on the other mic, and just like little things kept going wrong with them, but it still generally worked for what I needed it for. So I had mentioned a long time ago that I wanted the DJI Wireless Mic 3, possibly in the podcast, possibly in my email newsletter. By the way, you can sign up for my email newsletter if you go to my Instagram, TracyNLA, TracyINLA. Go to my bio, and you can sign up for my email newsletter that I send once a month. But anyway, I had mentioned this a while ago that I wanted the version 3 because the main reason, besides the fact that my microphones were breaking down, is that when I record for my Dance Journey podcast, it's with the mic I currently have, it records it all as one audio track. So even though there's 2 of us, when I'm doing the editing, it's on the same audio track. So if one of our voices is louder or quieter, I have to go in and manually adjust each of our voices throughout the whole podcast. And it can literally take me like 30 hours if the sound is off. So I really try to do the mic test in the beginning, like when we're together, and if our voices sound different, like if their voice sounds quieter, which is often the case because I have a very projecting voice, as I've learned from doing these podcasts, I will go in and change their receiver. So the mic that they're holding in their hand, I will make it a little bit louder. So I can do that on the spot when we're recording, but that's about all I can do. And that doesn't always work that great. Like, then they might be too loud, or sometimes their volume adjusts and changes throughout the episode. And so when I'm going to edit it, what would be really nice is to have it on 2 separate tracks. So if I notice they're generally quieter the whole time, I can just like make the volume of their whole track a little bit louder, and that's how I can make it better. But because of my current mic situation, I can never do that. So it's just this whole ordeal every time. So today, when my mic stopped working, I was about to lose it because I was going to tell you guys I'm literally $100 in the negative right now. I'm already feeling like I'm going to lose it because I feel like God isn't providing, even though I know He is. He's going to show me what to do, whatever. But I was just feeling like, man, God, why aren't you blessing the stuff I'm doing? Like, why? Did you really call me to do this? Because I feel like you are not providing. You're like barely providing every time, or you're not providing. Why am I $100 in the negative right now? And then my phone fell over and my mic stopped working, and I just like kind of started to cry. I was like, okay, I was already in a bad mood, and did you want me to be in a worse mood? Like, what the heck? So I kept trying to fix it. It wasn't working. Finally, I just texted my roommates. It's convenient that my roommates are kind of my biggest fan as well of this personal podcast. So they're my friend and her husband, my biggest fans of my personal podcast. I think they're my biggest fans. If there's another bigger fan, I just don't know about it. But yeah, so I had to be like, sorry guys, I'm literally recording this at the last minute and now my mic doesn't work. So you aren't getting your personal podcast tomorrow. Sorry, I don't know what to do. I'm trying to figure out what God wants me to do. And then my roommate's like, come back home and just use my mic. I have a DJI Mic 3. And I'm like, oh yeah. I think she had told me that before, but I forgot. But she has to have it for work. So it's not like I can just like have her microphone, but she was like, you can use it today or whatever. So I got hers and oh my gosh, I tested it. And not only, does it have all those features I was just telling you about, but also the sound is clearer. I looked at my mic test that I did for my microphone when it was working today earlier. And then I did a mic test with this new one, the DJI Mic 3. And oh my gosh, you can't hear like any sound in the background. And I was like, whoa, I already thought my mic was like pretty clear, for being a wireless mic, but this is like really clear. So I got really excited. So then I was looking it up on Amazon because like I'm already in the hole with money. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to send out my email newsletter. I'm going to ask people for money. I'm going to try to raise money, be like, my microphone seriously broke, but I kind of just need money for life. But I also need money for this microphone now. Like, so if anyone wants to feel generous right now and help me out, I really need help. Like I had mentioned a long time ago that I wanted the DJI Wireless Mic 3. And if anyone wanted to donate towards that, and nobody cared and nobody responded. So I was like, whatever, my mic is fine. I don't need it. I'm just going to keep spending hours and hours and hours on my Dance Journey episode editing, and it's fine because I don't have money for it. But when this happened, I was telling my roommate like how upset I was and how I'm in a bad mood now. And she's like, maybe this is just God telling you need to get the new microphone that you wanted anyway, and he's going to provide for it. I'm like, I hope so. I am really glad that it happened on my personal podcast shoot and not on like a Dance Journey one, because I just recorded a Dance Journey one the other day. And that would have been horrible if that happened, because I was not near my house or near my roommate during that time. And that person, made time out of their schedule, and we took a dance class. So I couldn't have just been like, oh, wait here for 2 hours while I grab a mic that works, or, we would have just had to not do it. So I am glad it happened today on a personal podcast day shoot. But anyway, wow, that was a lot of drama. I'm feeling better now after I had my little emotional breakdown a second ago that was not on camera. So, and I'm like, I'm not starting it over. We're just going to keep going, and you'll just be able to tell the difference between the sound maybe, or maybe you can't, but I definitely can. So I'm excited about that. And so what's cool is I looked it up on Amazon, and the DJI Wireless Mic 3 used to be $329. I even almost think it was more than that a while ago when I looked at it. And now it's going for $219. I don't know if it's a deal right now or if that's just like the new price because it's been out for a while. But $219 definitely feels a lot better and feels doable. I say doable. I really have no income. So I'm just hoping people are going to like help me out and give me some money. But I do think I'm just going to go ahead and order it because I'm house sitting next week. I can't take my roommate's microphone with me everywhere, and I need to keep going. I really feel God's told me to keep going and to trust him and have big faith. Again, I don't recommend that everyone put stuff on credit cards, but I just think I'm in a weird season. I'm in the manna season, and I'm going to put it on a credit card. And if God doesn't provide and I keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole of debt, I will probably reevaluate and be like, okay, God, is this really what you're telling me to do? Or do you have a job for me? Do you want me to do something else? Like a different type of job, like a job that makes money. Like literally earlier today, I was having a breakdown because my mic stopped working, and I was just like, God, I'm so tired of this. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm so tired of this weird life that I'm living with these weird things you called me to do. I just want to get a regular job. I just want to get a regular job. Just get me a regular job. I'm so tired of this. And I felt like God said, is that what you want? You really want a regular job? And I was like, ugh. I was like, no, I want to do this, but I'm annoyed. I'm so annoyed that like, why can't I make money? Why don't I have more money? I'm annoyed about it. And why are you blessing this? Like, why aren't you having anything make money? And why am I always just like, where am I going to get money? And why am I always, I have zero money, or I'm sort of in the negative, and then you provide at the last minute. I'm just like tired of it. But I just don't want to be like the Israelites. I think I talked about this before in another episode, but I don't want to be like the Israelites who were like, we really want to have a king like all the other nations. They all have a king, but the Israelites just had God. God was their king, and he just directed them. And then I think he gave them like judges or something, but they never had a king. And that was the way God wanted it. It was the better way. But they kept complaining that they weren't like other people. They weren't like other nations. They weren't normal. And so they just like wanted a king. Like, why do they want a king? Most people today are like, we don't want kings, So I don't know why they wanted a king, but they really wanted one. And God was like, "Ugh, okay, fine. You know, you keep begging for a king. Here you go. Here's your king." And guess what? It was a lot of problems. They had a lot of problems with their kings. And God would often like help them in those situations. I don't know. There was a lot of drama. You have to read the Bible to learn about it. But yeah, I always think about that story when I think about me wanting a regular job. I'm like, God's like, do you want a regular job or you just want to depend on me because I keep providing for you and I want you to do what you're called to do and I'm going to keep providing for you? Do you want to trust me or do you want to trust in a regular job and be like everybody else? And I'm like, okay, fine. So I'm experimenting with continuing to keep going, even though I'm about to have more negative money. My birthday is coming up. It's August 1st. If anyone would like to give me a birthday present of money would be greatly appreciated. You can Venmo me at Tracy in LA, TracyInla, just like my Instagram. If you want to Zelle me, if you know my number, please feel free to Zelle me as well. If there's another way you want to support, please let me know. I will take it any other method. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. Oh, so I wanted to tell you that God is providing my money. I do have cool money stories. It's just like here I am again waiting on another miracle. It's like I'm just constantly waiting on miracles. But I will say that I told you guys the miracle story of my windshield last time and how God provided like the exact amount of money the day after I got my windshield replaced, which was super crazy. And then a day or two after that, maybe even I think it was the next day or later that night or something, a friend of mine who I haven't talked to in a long time, we do follow each other on Instagram, but I haven't seen her in like, I mean, I don't even know, 15 years or so. And she and I used to be really good friends. We still respond to each other's stories on Instagram and stuff like that, but we haven't like really talked. And she randomly Venmo'd me or Zelled me or something, $100 and was like, I'm enjoying your podcast. I just want to support you or something like that. And I guess she just started listening to my personal podcast because she listens to most of her podcasts on something called Overcast, which I didn't even know what that was. But she's like, because now your podcast is on Overcast, and that's where I listen to all my podcasts. So I've been listening to them. I'm on the turkey episode. So that was like my second episode or something when I talked about how I hosted Thanksgiving. And all I talked about was cooking a turkey for like an hour, which was not my plan, but that's what happened. Anyway, she's like, I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited to binge all of these. I'm like, oh, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of Tracy. I don't know if I could binge like 32 episodes or whatever. This is episode 32. So, but yeah, it made me feel good that she was enjoying it and she sent me money. And it was cool because it was a day or two away from what would have been the day that I used to do my babysitting job. But I quit that. Like I told you guys, I felt like God wanted me to quit that babysitting job for a variety of reasons. You can go back and listen to, I think, the last episode or 2 episodes ago when I talked about that if you want to know why. But yeah, that's about the amount of money that I made from babysitting was $100. So it was cool that she just like sent me $100. And then that was right after God also sent me money for the windshield. So I just felt like God was confirming like, yes, you heard me. I did tell you to quit the babysitting job. Here's the money. I'm just giving it to you, you know? And I don't believe it's because God doesn't want us to work. It's just that I'm already working. I work all the time. I'm doing the stuff God called me to do. And it's a lot of podcast shooting, dancing, editing, connecting with people, all this stuff, and it takes all my time. I try my best to have one day or at least part of a day that's sort of a Sabbath day, like of rest, but it's hard for me to do that because I honestly have stuff going on all the time. And so that's why I feel God has told me not to do any other regular kind of jobs right now. It's not because he wants me to be lazy and sit around and watch TV. It's just because I'm already so busy with everything he's called me to do, and I felt like he told me to stop trying to provide for myself. And that's what I was doing by keeping that babysitting job, but instead let it go and just depend on God to provide. And there's other reasons I quit it as well, which again is in the other episode if you want to check it out. But anyway, so that was really cool that I got that $100 right before I would have gotten paid for my babysitting job. And that friend was just encouraging to me that she was liking the podcast and everything. So that was cool. But even with all of that, oh, and I have another it's kind of a cool, funny money story. From I was dog sitting last week. Well, so I was dog sitting as well. Got some money from that. So even with all this money that I just got, I was still $100 in the negative. Like right now, I'm $100 in the negative. And now I'm going to order this microphone. So I'm about to be like 300 and how much did I say that cost? I'm about to be like $319 in the negative. Plus, you know, I'm going to have to buy gas soon and other things that I like have to get. So I'm going to be like pretty in the negative pretty soon. So yeah, would love any sort of birthday presents of money would be great. But anyway, another cool story was I was dog sitting and I had recently met this teenager. He's from another state. I'm not going to talk about all the details of his life, but he's from another state. He was in town for an acting program at a college for a couple weeks out here, but he also does dance and singing. And I met him in one of my regular classes. I have a lot of like teenage friends in some of my dance classes. I don't know why, but it's kind of fun and funny. But he was talking to one of my other teenage friends. So they were connecting, and then I ended up meeting them because I'm friends with her. Anyway, so we all were connecting and like got to know each other that day, and we all got each other's Instagrams and stuff. But then a week or so later, he ends up messaging me on Instagram and being like, "Are you going to go to this Sophia Lucia?" Am I saying her name right? Sophia Lucia. She has such a cool name. Anyways, are you going to go to this Sophia Lucia contemporary class in Orange County tonight? Like the day of, he messaged me to see if I was going to this contemporary class in Orange County, which is far away from me in LA, where I was house sitting. And I was like, no, I'm not planning on it. He's like, oh, okay. Me and my friend are trying to go to it. So we were just hoping that maybe if you were like going, you could drive us or something. Because they're in from out of town from another state. They don't have a car. And they're two teenagers doing this acting program. Okay. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not. Like literally, I had so much going on that week. And that was the one day that I wasn't going to a dance class. The next day I had 2 dance classes and a Dance Journey podcast shoot. And I had so much going on the rest of the week. I'm like, that is the last thing I want to do is drive to Orange County tonight and drive out of my way to pick up these teenagers to drive to Orange County tonight. Even though it would be cool to go to a cool contemporary class, I'm not like overly obsessed with Sophia Lucia. I didn't even see that she was doing a class. So it's true that I have never taken her class before, and she is sort of like a dance celebrity. She was a guest star on Dance Moms for a while, so I did get to know her through Dance Moms a long time ago. And she holds like the Guinness World Record for the most pirouettes in a row. So I think she did like 55 pirouettes in a row or something, and that's like her big like claim to fame. Well, I think she has a lot of claims to fame, but that's one of her big things. And it is really cool. And I remember thinking she was really cool back then when I watched Dance Moms, and like when I was learning about her, I thought she was an amazing dancer and was so cool how many turns she could do, because I like love turns. And I'm like, wow, she has so many turns. It's so cool. So I was a little bit obsessed with her a long time ago, but I never like kept up. I think I follow her on Instagram, but I never really kept up with like when she does classes or anything. So in the back of my head, I was like, I mean, it'd be sort of cool to like go to her class, but I'm not driving to Orange County. And like, no, I was going to stay home tonight. I have a lot of stuff to finish, stay at the dog sitting house. I was going to stay with the dog. And like, I love their couch at that house. So I was like, no, this was like my night to like be on the couch, get some editing done, and maybe even get done early and like watch a movie or something. Like, no, I don't want to go. I'm dancing every single day. Like, I don't want to go to this. But I don't know. In the back of my head, I was like, is God going to change my mind about this? Because like, I just feel like he's always calling me to drive people places. I do feel like that's one of the things I do for God that he tells me to do. All these things I feel like he's told me to do. This personal podcast, my Dance Journey podcast, dancing, teaching class, writing. And one of the other things I feel like he often tells me to do is drive people places. So when people need a drive, when people need someone to pick them up from the airport or things like that, or drive to a dance class. And sometimes they pay me, sometimes they don't. It's different all the time. But yeah, I just feel like that's something he's called me to do. And lately he's been having me connect with a lot of like younger dancers and teenagers and people in their early 20s and stuff. And I don't know, I mean, I connect with all ages of dancers, but it's been interesting that he's been bringing a lot more like younger people. Even my analytics on this podcast. Did I talk about this last time? I try not to look at the analytics too much because God kind of tells me not to, but then sometimes I just give in and I look at it. It usually just depresses me. So I think that's why God tells me not to look at it, because he's like, do this because I told you to do this, not because you have enough listeners or whatever. Because most of the time I'm like, God, nobody's listening to this. Like, why am I doing this? But the last time I looked at it, it said that my listeners for my personal podcast were 50% under 18. And I was like, wait, really? That's really weird. Because like I only know a few teenagers. So I don't know like how, and I do have more listeners than that. So I don't know if that's really real. It's a little confusing because I look at my analytics on Spotify, but then people are also listening more so now on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. Well, they don't really listen that much on YouTube, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's real. But anyway, so because I feel like God is bringing younger dancers into my life and he's always calling me to drive people, I was like, God's probably going to tell me to do this. So I did say to the guy, I'll get back to you. I was like, try to find someone else to take you, but I'll get back to you if I change my mind. I did say something like that. So I left a little space for possibly changing my mind. But then I think he ended up reaching out to me again or something and being like, our other friend like can't take us and it would be so expensive to take a Lyft. So we would totally pay you if you wanted to drive us. And so then I'm thinking, okay, I could get a free class out of this and make a little money and do my calling of driving people. So maybe it's like a win-win-win-win-win, even though I really wanted to get in my pajamas and like not do anything tonight except editing and stuff. But I kept praying about it. I was like, okay, I'll let you know by 6 p.m. because I have to get all my stuff done that I need to get done today if I'm going to be able to go to this. And then I said, if you pay for my class and give me $50, I will do it. If I get all my stuff done, but I need to tell you by 6 p.m. if I get all my stuff done or not. He was like, oh my gosh, yes, totally. We will do that. If you could take us, that would be awesome. So I was like, oh, I'm probably going to end up doing this. And the classes at Offstage, where the class was going to be, they're only $16, which is crazy. It's almost like worth the drive, the gas money to pay only $16 for a class, especially if you were going to do a bunch of classes in a row. I mean, yeah, you have to drive a little further, but classes in LA are like $23 or more. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, I was thinking about it. I looked back at Sophia Lucia's choreo because he sent me a video of like what her choreo was going to be. It was also going to be a round 2. So I was like, oh, I don't like doing a round 2, especially when I've never taken that teacher before. And so everyone's going to already know the combo. And then it's like going to be an even bigger struggle for me. But I don't know. It would be a free class. So I was thinking about it. So I was getting all my stuff done that I had to get done. And I know I'm going to end up taking them. I mean, like, what a fun adventure to take these teenagers to this class. Like, that'll be kind of fun. I used to work in youth ministry. I used to work with teenagers, like, as sort of a pastor/director type person. And I often hung out with teenagers. That is when I was younger. I was in my 20s. But I don't know. I haven't really felt like a calling to that age group in a long time. But recently, just specifically with dancers, I've felt more connected to like a lot of younger dancers lately. And so I was like, it would be kind of fun. It would make me feel like I was back in like youth ministry, driving teenagers around and stuff. So anyway, I ended up telling him even before 6 p.m., like, I'm good. I've gotten everything done. I can take you guys. So they were like so excited and so happy and said that I like basically saved their lives or whatever. And it was going to cost them so much money with a Lyft. So they were really happy about it. So anyway, end up picking them up. We're driving to the class. And so this was last week. And it was like such a fun car ride. I actually had so much fun. First, I was like learning all about them, asking them their stories, because I really didn't know, even the guy that I met in class, like I didn't know that much about him. So I was kind of asking them, both of them, their whole life stories and their interests and everything. And of course, that was really fun for me because I love to interview people. But then at some point, something came up about me and I said something, and then they were like, yeah, wait, we don't know anything about you. Like, what's your story? I'm like, yeah, that's pretty funny that I'm driving you to this class and like you don't have a clue who I am or anything. I mean, they do follow me on he follows me on Instagram, and then the teenage girl and I started following each other on Instagram later too. And also, by the way, like their parents did know that I was driving them, and they got a permission from their parents as well as like their counselor at the acting program. So it wasn't like I was kidnapping them without anybody knowing, these kids somewhere. At first, I didn't even know for sure he was a teenager. So I'm glad that he made that clear and told me he got permission from his parents and the counselor. Because at first I wasn't sure if they were because it was a program at a college, but I thought they were in high school, but I wasn't 100% sure. So yeah, they are in high school. Anyway, so it was really nice that they were like, what's your story? Because, I mean, people don't always, especially younger people, kids and stuff, they don't usually always like ask you your story. So, of course, I'm like, oh, let me tell you. And so I kind of started telling them like the briefest version I could of like my whole life, which was, hard, but I did it. And they were both like so interested, and they were just like, oh my gosh, that's so inspiring. That's amazing. Like, we want to be like you. Like, I want your life. That's so cool. It was like so funny. Also, I forgot to tell you, they are Christians as well, which was just something random that I discovered because I met the kid in class, but then when we follow each other on Instagram, I saw some stuff about God on his Instagram. And then I think she said some stuff too in the car. And I was like, oh, these are like totally passionate, like Christian kids, which is also like so funny that God ended up connecting all of us. And so we were also talking about God, and like it was just really, really cool. I was really enjoying that car ride, and they were like giving me so much. I don't know. They were hyping me up so much. I was like, wow, I'm so encouraged. I kind of was having like a dud of a day. And then I was in the car with them. I was like so hyper because they were just like hyping me up so much. And I don't know if maybe they were just glazing me. I learned that word from them. So like the girl at one point was like, are you glazing me or stop glazing me or something to the guy? I don't know. They didn't sound like they told me what it meant. I just like figured it out from the context that it's like, you know, hyping someone up, but like not in a sincere way, I guess. So I just kept thinking about this story and how they were hyping me up so much. And I was like, I just don't know if they were glazing me. I keep saying that in my head. I don't know if they were glazing me because I kind of like love that term now. So anyway, I don't think they were though. I think they were being really sincere. So it was just like really fun. And then we got to the class and none of us, I feel like I know I've been to Offstage before, but it was a few years ago and I'm not sure if it was the same building or not. But I definitely was never in this massive, huge room. Like it was the biggest dance studio I think I've ever been in, to the point where there was a big screen where everything was projected on a screen. So you could also like look up and see the choreographer on the screen as well as in person, because it was such a big room that if you were like anywhere not in the front, it would be really hard to see. And the choreographer had a microphone. So I've never learned a dance in that type of setting. So everyone kept saying it's really convention-y. This is like a dance convention, the way that they're doing it. And yeah, I've never been to a dance convention. I didn't grow up as a kid doing dance in that way. So I was a little bit like, whoa, this is crazy. Also, I wish we got there so early, and I wish we would have realized it was in the studio. You had to go out the doors after you go into where like the receptionist is or the people working the desk. You had to go back out the doors and like around the corner to get into this big studio. And we didn't know that. So we were just like waiting in the lobby area, like waiting for the other class to get done to go into these rooms. And we're like looking around. I'm like, I don't even know where Studio A is. Like, I don't see it. So I asked a few people, like, where's Studio A? Do you have to walk through a studio to get to Studio A? Because I remember doing that in whatever studio I was in at Offstage the last time I went a few years ago. But I think it was a different building. So anyway, we finally realized that you have to go outside and around to get to the other studio. So by the time we did that, there was a huge line to get into that studio already. Like we were there so early, we could have been in the front of the line, but we weren't. It's fine. So anyway, I like to get into the room like early so I can get somewhere near the front. Like obviously I wouldn't want to be in the very front because this is a round 2. I've never had this teacher before. I don't want to be in the very front, but I like to be somewhere I can see, you know? But we get into the room. The room is already totally packed. It looked like there was like 150 people in there already. And I was like, okay, I guess we're going to go in the back. Like they kind of went in the way back. At first I went near them and then I was like, no, there's got to be a space a little bit closer. So I'm like looking around the whole room and then I see a space sort of closer, or at least, you know, only halfway back instead of the way back. And I'm like, I'm just going to take that spot over there. So I went over there. Everybody's stretching. So then I start stretching with them. And then it just was like a weird experience. Like I wasn't used to looking at the screen, even though it was up on the screen. And then because Sophia had a microphone, she wasn't able to always do the moves totally full out because the microphone kept falling off and just like the way it was connected. So she had like her assistant who was doing great, but I'm just not used to the teacher just talking and then the assistant doing the moves. I know that is the case in a lot of situations for a dance class, but that's just not the type of dance classes that I usually go to. So it was just a different kind of environment for me. It was giving me a little bit of stress where I was like, oh, I really just want to get the combo, but I'm so thrown off by how many people are in this room. I can't really see. I'm looking at the screen, but it feels weird to look at the screen, so I'm confused. And then there's not a lot of space. So in the beginning, I was like, I'm just not going to get this. And you know what? Who cares? It's free, and I made some money tonight. I had a good time with the teenagers. It doesn't really matter if I get it. But then what happens to me almost every time in every class I take where I feel like I'm not getting it, by the end I was like, okay, I'm kind of getting it. I don't have it perfect. There were a couple moves I just never really knew what they were. I'm like, this one move that's before this other move, I just never knew what it was because she did kind of teach fast. It was around 2, so teachers generally do teach faster on around 2. Maybe she teaches fast in general. I don't know because I've never taken her before. But yeah, there were just a couple moves that I just like never really saw. I tried to look at other people and figure out what they were doing, but there was just like so much going on. Then she divided us all into like 5 groups or something. And so as the other groups were going, I mean, there were still pretty large groups. And as the other groups were going, I mean, because I really think there were like 300 people in this room altogether. I don't really know. I don't have a good capacity for figuring out like how many people are in a room, but it seemed like 300 or something. And I mean, maybe it was even more. I honestly don't know. But some of the packed classes I've been in at Millennium have had like 80 to 90 people. And it felt like there was at least 3 times as much as that. So anyway, I was watching the other groups when they were performing, and I was trying to really like mark it on the side and figure out the parts I didn't know. And I'm proud of myself. Like, I feel like considering the environment and how difficult that was for me and how I've never experienced anything like that, I feel like I did a pretty good job for myself. Like watching the video, and it's cool because at Offstage, they almost every single class, they take professional videos and they put them all on the website like really quickly, or not on the website, but on like a Google Drive type of thing where you can get them right away. So that was really cool. I forgot about that. They did that at Offstage a long time ago when I went as well. So that was cool. And I was able to zoom in and be like, okay, because I definitely was not standing anywhere near the front when my group was going, you know, for good reason. But I was like, okay, I kind of have it. Like, I'm actually pretty impressed with myself for that. And also I ran into a girl, another teenage friend who I'm friends with at Millennium. And so that was crazy. Out of all those people, I just happened to stand near her. I just happened to stand near her. Like when I was looking for a space to stand, I just found a little empty space that was a little closer forward. And I went there. And then as we're learning the combo, she looks at me and she's like, hey. And I'm like, oh my gosh, hey. Like, so weird that out of all those people, I then stood next to like another girl, another teenage friend who I knew as a dancer. So that was just really crazy. So we all had a lot of fun. After the class was over, me and the 2 teenagers were just going on and on about how much we loved it. Like, we really did all love it. And Sophia Lucia was a really good teacher. Like, I wish that the microphone worked better. Although my friend that takes class there all the time because she lives down there, she said the microphone usually does work better. There was just some kind of like glitch happening. So I'm sure it's fine. Offstage is a really nice studio. Like, lots of my friends like it, and it's really great that they have good deals there. So I would recommend taking class there, and I would love to go back again as well. But it was a little bit annoying that the mic was sort of weird. The sound was just weird and it kept like falling off and that kind of thing. But she was a really good teacher. She was really nice and encouraging, but also like had high standards and was giving good tips and that kind of thing. So I would definitely like to take her again. It would be awesome to take her in a smaller class. I don't know if that's ever possible because she's so famous now. But yeah, it was really fun. And then on the way back, we just like had such a fun time chatting about the class and chatting about everything. We were just talking more and more. And like, I was wound up after that. I was like, wow, that was really fun. I'm so glad that I went. And then, yeah, they paid me. Well, his mom paid me the next day, which is funny. He's like, can my mom pay you tomorrow? Because she's like sleeping right now. It's like, that's so funny. But yeah, I was like, sure, no problem. So it was really, really cool just to have like a fun night, a different kind of dance class, connect with some teenage dancers and make some money. It's just cool when God has a different plan for you for the day than you had, and you think you don't want that plan. You're like, no, I was going to stay here. I was comfortable in my pajamas. I was going to get other work done. But then I feel like when God wants you to do something, he just provides the time you need. Like, everything I needed to get done, I got done before 6 p.m. and I was able to still do this class and still have everything else done. I did get very little sleep that night because I was so wound up when I got home. I was like, I'm a hyper. That was like so fun. I almost started crying. I just remember this now. I almost started crying in the class when I was learning the combo because I was just like, I can't believe I'm here right now. Like, I can't believe God led me to take this class tonight. I can't believe God opened the door for me to come and be in this class with all these young people, all these teenagers who are like hardcore dancers and this like famous teacher. And I didn't even know this class was happening, but God led me to this class. And not only did he provide for it to be free for me, but he also literally like paid me to come to this class. And I got to connect with kids and talk about God. And I'm just like, God is crazy. He is so good. He's so cool. Like, I don't deserve this. Like, I don't deserve to be at this class. Like, I shouldn't be at this class, you know, but I get to be because I have so much favor from God and he just directs me. And so in these low moments when I'm like, oh, why is my money in the negative? Why did my microphone break? I have to be like, wait, I have 75 stories of God being good and the cool things he's doing. So like, I know I'm on the path and he keeps speaking to me things and then confirming them. Okay, this is another story I was going to tell. So because I'm always like, am I really hearing God's voice or am I just like a psychopath? Like, I do think that sometimes. I wonder. But he always confirms things. Like, I'll do things I think he's saying, and then he confirms it for me later. So one of the things was I was going to shoot this podcast. So I'm shooting it Monday, the day before I like to release it, which is not how I usually like to do it. I don't usually like to wait to the last minute. But I was dog sitting last week. I moved back home on Saturday, and that was a lot of work, just like cleaning everything up in the morning and getting out of there. So I was going to try to do my podcast in the morning before I left, but that was just like never going to happen. Like I just had so much to get done before I left. And then by the time I got home, I was like, well, I thought I was going to get home and move my stuff in and then shoot the podcast. That's what I told my roommate when I saw her. But then right away she's telling me, oh, I'm going to have my gender reveal party tomorrow. So I knew she was going to have the gender reveal party. She did tell me about that on Sunday. That was going to be her party for, I mean, we know the gender, but she was going to have a gender reveal party for her husband's family and some other people that didn't know yet because they wanted to do a surprise thing for them. So she's like, I'm going to make these cupcakes. And she's telling me what she's going to do. Like she bought these cupcakes from Costco and she's going to like dig out little holes in the cupcakes and basically fill them with the frosting of the gender of the baby. And so like blue or pink, she was going to fill it with the frosting that is the gender and then put frosting on top that was going to be blue and pink. Like some cupcakes would have blue, some cupcakes would have pink, and people would choose the cupcakes of the gender they think it is or the gender they want it to be. But then when they take a bite out of it, they'll see what the gender actually is. And so she's telling me what she's going to do. And I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. That sounds cool. And in my head, I felt like the Holy Spirit was like, you should help her. You should help her make those cupcakes. Like she didn't ask me to. I felt like the Holy Spirit was like, you should help her make those cupcakes. But what I had told her when I got home was like, okay, I have to go shoot my podcast. It's already late in the day. It's late in the afternoon. I'm like, I have to go shoot my podcast. I have to get home. I have to edit it. I'm going to be up all night, like shooting and editing and posting this podcast because I try not to do stuff like that on Sunday because I try to take a rest day. Also, her party was going to be Sunday. I had church and then I had ballet and I was going to come back for the time for her party and try to help her with the beginning. I was going to try to get there a little bit early to help with the party. And then that was going to be the rest of the day. And that's like also my Sunday. And I didn't want to be Monday, I usually have dance class and I didn't want to be like racing around trying to edit and trying to shoot my podcast. So this was my whole plan so that I wouldn't have to do it at the last minute. But I'd already told her that. So she wasn't asking me to help her. But then she's telling me what she's going to do. And I feel like the Holy Spirit was like, you should help her with the cupcakes. And I'm like, I don't have time to help her with the cupcakes. Like I would love to help her with the cupcakes, but like I have to do this podcast. You know, I'm like arguing with God in my head. She doesn't know this is happening until now when she's listening to this right now. But I always like I start out like compromising with God. A lot of times it takes me a little while to obey God. I mean, maybe if it was like a booming voice out of the sky being like, this is God, maybe I would obey faster. I like to think that I would. But when it's a little voice in my head, I try to convince myself like, that's not God. That's just me trying to be a people pleaser. But I need to do my podcast. Like I have stuff to do. I wish I hadn't already waited till the last minute that it is today, but like I have to do it. So then I'm like, oh, well, maybe I can help you like dig out the holes of the cupcakes. Like I was like, oh, maybe I can help her for like 20 minutes and then I'll put my stuff away and I'll go shoot my podcast and I'll be doing it a little bit later than I planned, but it's fine. And so I started out doing that and I thought that was all I was going to do. And then she's like, I have to go to the farm because she volunteers at a farm. So she was going to volunteer at a farm and then come back and make the frosting and everything. And I was like, oh, okay, if you're going to go to the farm, then I'll probably like shoot my podcast. But if I get back in time, then maybe I can like help you with the frosting or something. I'm like, okay, I can edit it on Monday. It's fine. But then when I was there, I was just like, if I try to shoot this podcast, I'm not going to be back when she's back. I'm going to be tired. I'm already tired. I also wasn't like feeling the greatest. My stomach was kind of weird. I ate some weird stuff that day. And I was just like, I don't even want to do the podcast. And I felt like God was like, you should stay home and help your roommate with this whole thing. Just like be with her, have fun, like do this cupcake project with her. And I was like, okay, it's not like I don't want to, like I wanted to. I just felt like it was irresponsible because I was behind on all my stuff. But I finally just listened to God. I was like, you know what? Yes, I'm going to stay home while she's at the farm. I did some other stuff to help her around the house while she was at the farm. Then I got to like eat more food because I was really hungry. And so it was better. It was more calming than me trying to do 100 things in one night that I needed to do. And then when she got back, I was like, okay, I'll help her with this little frosting project. Like she shows me the recipe or like the instructions for what we're going to make. And it's like the fanciest, like, I don't know, meringue buttercream frosting I've ever seen. Like you have to boil water and put a bowl like on top of the boiling water, on top of the hot water while you're beating the egg whites and all this stuff. It was like this whole process, especially because we're also dyeing it. And then we have to put it, we have to like, what is it called? Piping? She kept using this word and I like forgot what it meant because I have not done anything like this in a long time. Like I don't eat sugar. So I do bake sometimes, but I tend to bake things with maple syrup or honey, or I, look for recipes of things that I can eat. So I'm generally not making frosting and stuff like that, or especially this kind of frosting with sugar and all this stuff. So I haven't done any kind of piping or cake decorating or cupcake decorating or anything like that since I was like a little kid. Maybe my mom used to make me these really cool cakes when I was little. Like we have pictures of her making this like elaborate Minnie Mouse cake for me. And she used all kinds of like piping and shapes and colors. And like, she was really good at it. But I have not really done anything like that except maybe helping her when I was little or maybe once in my life, but it's been a really long time. So I was like, wow, this is really elaborate. Like she's having me read the instructions and I'm like, I'm so confused reading this. I can't even follow it. I'm like, can you just tell me what you want me to do to help you? Because like, I literally don't even know what I'm reading here. And apparently I learned all these things about her that night. I'm always learning things about her since I live with her now. And we've been friends for over 10 years, but there's just things you don't know about people. And I didn't know she had this period of time that she got really into baking. Like she was really good at it and made very like fancy, difficult things. So she's actually really good at that type of stuff. So she was kind of directing the whole project, but I was doing the parts she gave me, like, can you hold the beaters? Can you beat it? Okay, now the instructions say this, like, can you do this part? And we were just like laughing because it was so elaborate and crazy. And even she was like, wow, she hasn't baked anything in a long time because she used to be into baking and then she got into animals. So now she volunteers at a farm and she has 3 big dogs and a bunch of chickens and koi fish. And like, that's what she's into now. She does that instead of like baking, I guess. She always gets into like different things. So she hasn't done anything like this in a really long time. So we were both laughing about how crazy it was. Like this was like the most extensive frosting project. And it was also so funny to me that she bought the cupcakes from Costco. Like you literally just bought cupcakes, like store-bought cupcakes, but then you're taking the frosting off and you're making the fanciest frosting you could ever find. It's just so funny that you would buy store-bought cupcakes, but then make the fanciest frosting you could possibly make, Like I've made frosting before, but usually you just like mix, I don't know, powdered sugar and water. I don't even know what it is, but you mix a few ingredients in a bowl and you just like mix it and then you have the frosting and then you just like smear it on. Like, I don't know. This was so extensive. So I just thought that was funny. But I guess like considering how long we spent on that, I guess it is really nice that we didn't also have to make the cupcakes. So her friend gave her that idea to buy the cupcakes and then just like make the frosting. And I do think now that that was a good idea, but I just thought that was kind of ironic and funny. So we spent so long doing that. And then I was helping her refill the dog medications. Like she has those pill containers that say like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And she does them for the dogs because they're on different kinds of medications. And usually I give the medications to the dogs sometimes, but I don't usually like fill the pill box or whatever. So she's like, oh, I got to do this tonight. So I'm like, okay, I'll help you with that. I mean, this has just turned into a night of me helping my roommate and I was having fun with her and it was great. And I was just like not worrying about the podcast. I'm like, whatever, I'm just going to shoot it on Monday. I'm going to edit on Monday. It's not a big deal. This is what God told me to do and I'm having fun. So I was helping her with that. And then we both got really hungry. So she's like, do you by any chance like want to go to In-N-Out with me? Like I just want In-N-Out so bad right now. I want In-N-Out fries. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I think I want an In-N-Out burger. I've recently decided I don't really like In-N-Out fries very much, but I do still really like their burgers. So I was like, yeah, I'll go get a burger with you. So it was really funny because it was like almost midnight and we went out to In-N-Out after being up all night making this frosting stuff. And like, it was just such a fun night with her. And I'm really glad that I did that. So like once again, God led me to do something that was not on my list, which this is something he's also freeing me from. Like he's freeing me from the anxiety of money, but he's also freeing me from sticking to my plan all the time and like my list, because that's always been something that I've put like really high up. And sometimes he interrupts me to do something else. And I'm like, no, that wasn't on my plan. But I really think you're missing out on some blessings if you don't listen more to the Holy Spirit when he is like telling you to do something else. And I don't think that means, don't stay focused on what you need to get done because some other idea pops in your head. Like I do think in general, you should have a plan and stay focused on it. But I guess it's just learning the voice of the Holy Spirit. And also when you know who God is and you read the Bible and you study and you know like what matters to God, like seeing that my roommate was going to have a lot to do that night with like nobody to help her is like oh, I feel like I could be the one to help her, but I really want to get my stuff done. I'm supposed to get my stuff done. And I just felt like that little voice. I was like, you should help her. It's going to be fine. Like, I'll help you get your stuff done later. And I'm like, okay. So I really do think like whenever God speaks to me in that way and tells me to help someone else instead of doing my own plan or to think about others, like the Bible always talks about love your neighbor as yourself. So thinking about the fact that she needed help that night and that was important to her, or thinking about the fact that the teenagers needed a ride to this class and like they didn't have anybody else or they were gonna have to spend tons of money on a Lyft or an Uber. It's just like thinking about others too and not just thinking about yourself often turns into a blessing for yourself as well. Like that's not the reason to do it, but I've just noticed that when we look more outwardly at like how to help other people, we end up being blessed and like happier ourselves as well. So it's really cool how God kind of coordinates that all together. So that's what ended up happening. I had like a great time with her. And then on Sunday, I had a great time in ballet with my friend and I got back and I was helping my roommate and her husband, both my roommates, get stuff ready for the party and actually had like a really great time. And oh my gosh, ate so much good food. Like he cooked these really good burgers on the grill and tri-tip, which I'm not really into, but I did have a little piece and like it was good. It's not that I'm not into it. It's just like sometimes it hurts my stomach, but I did have a little piece of that. There was so much good food and then grilled corn on the cob and all these sides and fruit and like, oh my gosh, it was delicious. I was so happy to be able to help a little bit. Like I felt like I didn't even help that much. Like they did so much, but they're like, thank you so much for helping us. You really helped us. That was so great. And I'm like, I feel like I did like a very small amount of things to enjoy such good food and get all this free food and like have a great time with my friend who I live with. And I mean, it's just cool how sometimes God calls us to do things and it can help someone so much. And for us, it's not even that much that we're doing. It's like not even that big of a deal, but to them, it like means so much. And so it's just cool to see all that happen. And then I was still like, okay, Monday's coming up and I have to shoot my podcast and okay, and edit it and post it, which like at the house I live, because it's kind of in the middle of it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. The uploads can take like, I don't even know, like 14 hours or something. I forget how long they take, but they can take, depending on the time of day, they can take a really long time. I think sometimes they take only 4 or 5 hours, but when I'm house sitting, it can upload sometimes in less than an hour. So it's definitely where I live right now. So I'm like, oh man, I got to get this shot and edited and then uploaded in time so they can get it out tomorrow. Like it's not the end of the world if it doesn't come out tomorrow, but I'm trying to always get these out on Tuesday. So I'm thinking about this on Sunday night. And then all of a sudden I had this thought of like, wait, I wonder if my class is even happening tomorrow. So I usually have a class I go to on Mondays in LA. So I drive to that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to shoot the podcast after that, which is already going to set everything back late. But I already knew that. Like I knew that going into it. But I was like, wait, I feel like he hasn't posted anything about the class. I wonder if it's still happening. So I checked on the schedule and there was a sub or it was canceled or something. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, it's not like I'm happy it was canceled. Like I love that class. And I was literally feeling sad this morning about like not having dance class. But I did feel like that was God too. Like, see, I knew that you were going to have more time on Monday and it was going to be fine. Like literally I had the whole day free then to shoot the podcast, edit it, and upload it. So it really worked out great, but I didn't know that, you know? And so that's why I do think it's so important to listen to the Holy Spirit, because if we just try to go off our own understanding, like I didn't know, I thought I wasn't going to have that much time today, but God knew that the class was going to be canceled. Like he knows everything. So if we're listening to him and following him, it's always going to be better because he knows the whole picture. And especially like that's a small example of something that's happening within a few days, but God knows the whole picture of our whole lives. So following him really keeps us on track, because if we only make decisions based on our own thoughts and our own logic, we don't know the whole big picture. So we're just following ourselves and like, we're kind of just like stupid. We're just like humans. We don't know that much. Like we're smart sometimes, some of us, you know, in certain moments, but like, you know, our own logic and understanding is just nothing compared to God's wisdom and God's purposes and everything he knows. So having a relationship with God and getting close to him really helps you stay on the right path and gives you so many blessings. I feel like as we're serving each other, we end up so blessed ourselves. And this is how God's like orchestrated it. So anyway, really cool things happening with God speaking to me and then confirming that he spoke to me and he has been providing money. So it was a bummer to kind of feel disheartened today when I looked at my bank account. I looked at my statistics for the podcast as well as my bank account. And those two things, looking at both of those things on the same day, can get me disheartened because I'm like, God, why are you not doing anything with my podcast? Like, why is it going nowhere? It even feels like it's has less listeners than before. And my money is now in the negative, and I just feel disheartened. Like, I'm trying to obey you. I'm trying to stay on this path that you've called me to, and I do like it, but it's frustrating. I feel like I should see more fruit. Like, I feel like I should see more money fruit from this or something or some kind of fruit. Like, it's nice every once in a while when someone encourages me and tells me how much they like it or something like that. But even people that used to listen to it all the time and used to tell me that they did now are telling me like, oh, I haven't been able to listen to it, or I'm really behind, or things like that. And it's fine. It's not like I need them to listen to it or anything like that. But just, it's like sometimes I'm like, am I really supposed to be doing this? But it was interesting because the sermon I listened to on Sunday, so I keep meaning to get back in church in person, but lately my schedule's been so crazy on Sundays and like, or I've been out really late on Saturday. So I've been listening virtually a lot, or I listened in my car on the way to ballet on Sunday, but it was a really good message. And it was a lot about, they're doing a series on God's will. And I actually sort of can't remember the main message from Sunday about God's will. I think it was just that God's will is going to happen. Like, we don't have to force it. I don't know. It was something like that. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But there was one part she talked about, which I don't even remember how this goes along with the message. So it's kind of random that I remembered this. But she talked about how we need to get over feeling like all of our friends need to support everything we're doing. This statement, she said, just like really hit me. And I don't remember the biblical context or like what she drew this from. I'd have to listen to the whole message again. I know it fit in with the whole message and like the biblical stuff she was talking about, but I just don't remember right now. But she was like, stop getting so annoyed. Like, you don't care about me because you didn't support this. You didn't come to this thing that I did, blah, blah, blah. I mean, she's saying this in LA at this church because so many of us at that church are dancers or artists or entrepreneurs or things like that. So the messages are like very applicable to me, which is like partly why I've been mostly going there lately or listening online. And she said, if you're doing what God's called you to do, he's going to bring the people. He's going to bring the support you need. He's going to have people show up. It doesn't need to be all of your closest friends. Like, that's a lot of weight on your friends when you and all your friends are all doing artistic things and everybody's like, come to my thing and support me in this thing. And if they don't, you feel like they're not your friend. And she was like, stop doing that. Stop putting that weight on everybody. Like, don't worry about that. Just do what God's calling you to do. He's going to bring people. It might be totally different people that don't even know you that well or whatever. And then if your friends want to be a part of it later, they can. But stop like putting this burden on all of them that they all have to support you and they have to come to these things and do these things. And then you're annoyed with them. And I was like, oh my gosh, I needed to hear that. Like, I don't think I've really been like overly annoyed with anyone for not supporting my stuff. But sometimes I do have these thoughts of like, how come these people like who are supposedly my friends have like never bought my book? Or how come like these people that supposedly support me have never listened to my podcast? Or how come they never signed up for my email newsletter? And like, why don't they care about me? Or like, I'll teach a class and be like, why didn't more people show up? Like, why didn't people care? And I thought they were my friend. You know, I've definitely had thoughts like that. It's not like I'm overly dwelling on those thoughts or like I'm not friends with people because of something like that. But I have had moments of just like kind of just like depressing thoughts, like why, like I'm trying to do all this stuff, like why don't people care? Like why don't my friends care more? Like why aren't they helping me more? Like why aren't people who are listening to the podcast all the time like ever donating even like a tiny bit? Like why don't people support me and blah, blah, blah. And so when she said that, I felt really convicted and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I need to stop thinking like that. Like I just got to do what God's telling me to do. He's going to provide however he wants to provide through whoever he wants to provide through. But also when she was saying God will bring the people, like maybe it won't be your closest friends. Maybe it'll be other people. Maybe it'll be like a whole different way. I was thinking, okay, yeah, but he is not really doing that either. I was like, am I really doing what God's called me to do? Because like, I don't feel like he's really doing it that way either. I don't feel like he's really bringing other people either. It's just like the bare minimum. Like he's providing, but it always feels kind of like the bare minimum. Like he is providing cool things. The things he provides in my life are not the bare minimum, but like the money, like the tangible money often feels like the bare minimum, like just enough for what I need. And sometimes feels like not enough. Like right now, I'm like, why am I in the negative? Is he going to provide really fast? Is he going to provide in the next few days? And then I'll be like, oh, okay, it's fine. Like he's just testing my faith. He's just stretching me. Like why? Or am I doing the wrong thing because he's not really blessing the stuff that I'm doing? So it's just hard, especially being like on social media or in a place like LA where everybody's doing stuff like this. You really feel like, well, if God was really blessing it, I would have had like thousands of likes on that post that I did or thousands of people listening to my podcast. Like if it was really God blessing it, because you do hear a lot of stories on Instagram that are like, oh, I used to Or like, I used to do this thing and I didn't care about God and I was just, living for myself. But then I followed God and I did what he told me to do. And then he had 1,000,000 people show up and I got 10 million followers on Instagram because I did what God wanted me to do. I hear a lot of stories like that on Instagram and I'm just kind of like over it. I mean, that's also something I need to like not be, because I should be excited for them. Like generally I am. I'm like, okay, cool. That's like cool that God did that for them. Generally I'm not like jealous. I'm just like, okay, yeah, that's awesome. Like that God called into something like that. But then I look at my life and I'm like, okay, but God, I also dropped everything to do everything you're calling me to do. And I had like 14 listeners last week and I had like 3 likes on that post that I did for my podcast. And like, do you really want me to do this? Like, it doesn't really seem like anyone cares, but it's nice to live with my roommates who probably care the most. So it's like just nice that I have that very directly around me. And every time I start to get a little discouraged about it, God does seem to send a random person to tell me how much they like it or how much it meant to them. Like I have had other random people who I'm not super close friends with randomly message me who I didn't even know were listening, who are like, wow, the last podcast you did like really spoke to me because you were talking about this or this, and that's something that I'm struggling with, and like God really spoke to me through that. So I have had people say things like that. It's just sort of hard in the day and age that we're living to keep going when you're like, wow, it's benefiting 3 people. Like, should I still keep going when it's only benefiting 3 people? But, we serve a God who chases after the one, leaves the 99 and chases after the one. There's like a verse in the Bible and there's a lot of songs about it. Like God is often compared to a shepherd over sheep. Like we're often compared to sheep who are just, need a shepherd like God to direct us. And there's a verse in the Bible that's about, when one sheep is lost, if there's like 100 sheep and one sheep is lost, God, the good shepherd, he would chase really far after that one sheep because he cares so much about getting them back. And he would leave the 99 to get after that one sheep and bring them back. And so it's just a God who cares about each person individually. And he just loves us individually, and each and every person matters a ton. And so that's kind of what that verse means. And so thinking about it like that, it's like, yeah, I guess if my podcast could encourage one person or speak something to give hope to one person, then I guess that is enough to keep going, as long as God keeps providing for me to be able to do it, which I mean, pretty crazy that he provided the mic I needed, because I happen to live with someone who has this mic, and actually the perfect mic that I'm actually looking to buy so I could test it first before I buy it. Like, that's pretty weird. So even that's like a really cool story and crazy. But now I'm like, okay, I'm about to spend this money. I really hope God's going to provide it. So again, my birthday is August 1st. Feel free to give me presents of money. But also, if you're not feeling called to do that, that's also fine, because guess what? God's going to provide however he wants to provide. And it might be through some random stranger that comes up to me on the street. It doesn't need to be through my friend. So if that is a burden to you and you don't have any way to provide financially or help me out, like that's also fine. You can still be my friend because I don't want to put any kind of weight or burden on anybody. And that's definitely never been something I wanted to do. I just do feel like God told me to write the email newsletters and told me to do this podcast, like for sharing stories and talking about God and talking about my life with God mostly. But also I feel like he told me people are going to donate. I feel like he told me that a while ago. And it is true because people have donated. But it's been like very sparingly, very here and there. It's not like I write a letter and get a bunch of money, or I do a podcast and get a bunch of money. That has never, ever happened. So God really keeps me very dependent on him in whatever way he wants to provide. But he gives me cool stories every week to the point where I'm like, should I even do this every week? Should I do it once a month? Should I do it every other week? But literally so much stuff happens in one week. I'm like, I don't think I could do this every other week because I would just have too much. It would go way too long. Like it's already going so long right now. So anyway, God is good. I know he's going to provide. I'm literally like encouraging myself as I'm doing this because I'm in a much better mood right now than I was earlier. So it's helpful for me. Maybe I'm doing this podcast for my own sanity. Like maybe that's why I'm really doing it. Who knows? I had a few other things I wanted to share. I finally went to this LA dancer Bible study. So I feel like God really had me find out about this because I follow a lot of people on Instagram because I just like to follow dancers. I figure the dancers that I'm supposed to watch will come into my feed, sooner. So I'm not really worried about like overly following like too many people. I'm like, well, I'm obviously not going to keep up with like 3,000 people and everything they're posting. But I feel like, Instagram knows the ones that I like and will send me more of that. And it doesn't really matter. I basically try to follow every dancer that I come across on Instagram. And if I connect more with them, awesome. If I don't, no problem, whatever. But this particular dancer, she's a professional dancer, also a teacher. I just happened to look at her story. Like, I don't always watch her stories, but it's not like she doesn't have a regular class I take or anything like that. I don't even know her that well. But I happened to look at her story and she was like, I'm starting a Bible study for dancers in LA if anyone's interested. And I was like, a Bible study? That's so crazy. Like, I didn't even know she was a Christian or anything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like, that would be so cool. Like, I would have loved to start a Bible study for dancers. And I've thought about that before, but I never really felt like overly compelled, like I was really supposed to do that. But yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, I should go to that. But then it was exactly during the time of one of my regular classes. And I'm like, oh, it's every other week. So it was like, I wouldn't have to miss it every week if I went. But I was like, I don't know. I feel really committed to this class. I don't really know, like, if I'm supposed to go to that Bible study. Like, just because it's a Bible study doesn't mean that's what I'm supposed to do. That is something that God's taught me in the past. Like, just because something sounds more spiritual than what you're doing, or like if you have the choice between two things and one thing automatically sounds more spiritual, it doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're supposed to do. If it's like, working, I used to try to decide like, oh, do I want to work in church ministry or do I want to go into film? Like back in my 20s, I was trying to decide if I wanted to go forward in church ministry, like keep working with the youth group and like keep moving up and getting promoted there, or if I wanted to go back to school for film, do something with film and editing and that kind of thing. And at that time, I thought, well, I should probably just stick with church ministry. That's like the more spiritual thing. Obviously, that's where God has me right now. That's what he's leading me to. And it's like obviously the more like godly thing to do because it's church. And so that's what I chose back then because that's how I thought God kind of worked. And then it was on my journey of pursuing church ministry and going back to school for seminary or going back to school for theology, going to seminary, I ended up at the Sundance Film Festival and then met all these artists and directors and actors and people, and then starting to feel really called to go to LA and do acting. So God even used my choice of church ministry or my heart of wanting to follow God. He used that to still direct me to like what I was actually supposed to do. Not that I was never supposed to be in church ministry, but God used that situation to show me that just because something sounds more spiritual doesn't mean that's automatically the better choice. Like, obviously we're not supposed to sin. We're not supposed to like, murder or covet or gossip or those kind of things. I'm not talking about that. Like, obviously we should say no to those things. But as far as just like what you're going to do with your life, like this school or that school, this job or that job, the one that sounds more spiritual isn't necessarily what you're supposed to do. You should really like talk to God about it and also like do what's in your heart to do because God made us. And so whatever desires you have, not every desire is from God. Like there are desires, we can have desires to sin. And that's something we have to combat and ask God's help to stay away from. But as far as like interests and talents and things like that, if there's desires we have, that's generally just like how God made us and he wants us to do those things. But he wants us to do them for him and not like, do them only for ourselves and only think about ourselves. He wants us to do them in a way that's honoring to him and helpful to other people. And he wants us to serve others. So it's more about the way we do them and what our heart is like when we're doing them than it is about the actual thing we're doing. So anyway, God did show me a long time ago to not just do the thing that's more spiritual, like no matter what. And so with this Bible study, I was like, okay, I don't want to just like assume God wants me at this Bible study. I was sort of in between Bible studies, or maybe I had a Bible study. I think I had a Bible study at the time that I heard about that Bible study. So it wasn't like I needed one right then. And I was like, I just want to stay committed to my class. Like, I feel like that's where I'm supposed to be. So I kind of put it off. I did tell them that if it ever was going to be at a different time, like an earlier time or something, that I would love to come. But right now it's like during this class and I always want to go to that class. And then months have gone by and I'm still in the group chat for this dancer Bible study, but I just have never come. One time they did it at an earlier time, which I could have come to, but then I had to like pick up my mom from the airport that day. And I was like, of course, like this is the one day I could have come and like I couldn't come. But then my teacher canceled one of the days that they were doing Bible study. And so I didn't have the class as a conflict that day. And I was like, okay, I'm finally going to come. So this was like last week or something. And I finally went to it, and I was honestly kind of scared to go because the girls that were in the group chat that were saying they were going to be there, I mean, they're like really professional dancers, which like I'm friends with lots of professional dancers, but they were like really professional. Like I don't want to give details about who they are, but I was just like, okay, they're like super professional dancers and they're a lot younger than me. And what if I show up and they're like, well, this is a Bible study for dancers. Like, are you a dancer? Even though like a couple of the girls, like I've taken classes before, I've met them before, that I've taken one of their classes. They would do pop-up classes every once in a while and I've taken them. So like I met some of them, but the girls that were going to be there that day, only one of them had I met before, and she doesn't even really know me that well. So I was like, oh, I'm kind of like, I was really nervous to go actually. And I really had to be like, no, Tracy, you're going to go. Like I told them I was going in the group chat. So like, I'm like, okay, I have to go to this. And I show up at this person's apartment. I'm in my car, but that morning my stomach was being so weird. It was like hurting. It was cramping. I was like, what is going on with my stomach? It's like usually fine. Like I think I told you guys recently, my stomach has been like amazing. Like I used to have stomach issues, but like I kind of haven't in like a really long time, which has been amazing. But this particular day that I was going to go to this Bible study because my class was canceled, it was like hurting and being so weird. And I'm like, why is my stomach so weird? But I was like, okay, I'm still going to drive there. And it was like a 25-minute drive from where I was house sitting. And I'm like, okay, I'm still going to drive there. I'm just going to pray over my stomach as I'm driving. Like, I really think I'm supposed to go to this Bible study. Then right when I parked, my stomach was hurting so bad that I was almost like going to have to like keel over because it was like cramping so hard. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot go to this Bible study that I'm so nervous to go to. I'm so nervous to go with these girls and have my stomach so weird right now. Like, that's not the way you want to meet people. Like, I'm just going to have to come back and go on a different week. But I was literally parked and it was starting in 3 minutes. And I was like sitting in my car praying like, God, I really wanted to go. I'm kind of annoyed that I drove this whole way and I might just turn around and go back. That seems so crazy. I'm like, but I don't want to go there if my stomach's feeling like this. Like, how embarrassing. Like, I'm just meeting these people for the first time, like some of them, and I already feel weird. I don't know. I was just like praying for wisdom. Like, God, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to try to just go? I feel like this is going to be so embarrassing if my stomach starts like hurting super bad. It was like almost like I was having contractions. It would like hurt really bad with cramps. And then it would like go, I'd have some relief and it would go away. And then like a few minutes later, it would like come back. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So it like went away when I was in the car, but I was like, well, it's probably going to come back. I can't go in there if I'm like feeling like that. Like, that's going to be crazy. But I was praying and I just felt like God was like, just trust me, just go and just trust me. And I was like, okay. So literally waiting outside of the apartment complex for her to come down and get me, the girl whose place it was at. I was just like so nervous and stressed out. I was like, I'm so stressed out right now. And then when a couple other girls got there and I saw them and then she was like leading us all back to her apartment, I was so like awkward. I'm like, I feel so awkward. I feel like these girls are just like, they just all look like professional dancers and they're like younger than me. And I just feel weird. And like, I don't know. I just felt weird. But as soon as we got into her apartment, she was telling us like the story of her apartment and stuff because it was like a nice place. I don't know. Like, I started to just click into like my personality and enjoying talking with them and connecting because they had like these really cool miracle God stories, just like I have. And I was like, oh my gosh, they have cool God stories too. And so I was getting really excited about the stories they were telling. And then I was telling my story. They were like, and the one girl who I kind of know was like, yeah, I don't really know like your whole story. And so I was kind of telling them like, yeah, I'm not really like a professional dancer. And so the one girl was like, oh, do you just like do it for fun? And I mean, and not in like it wasn't in like a mean way, the way she said it or anything. She was just trying to like learn my story. And I was like, well, I wouldn't say like just do it for fun. Like, I'm really serious about it. I'm very passionate. I really want to teach and choreograph. Like, I've taught a few classes. That's something I really like to do. And I just like love dance so much. And I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with it. But I do have a dance podcast and I interview dancers. And so that's a big part of it, like meeting dancers. But also I want to like teach and choreograph as well, more than I have been. And but then I was like, but I also write books and I have a personal podcast. And they were like, wow. And so they were really interested in listening to my story and really encouraging to me and seemed to really like me. And I was super connecting with them and we were all sharing really cool stories. And they're so passionate about God. And then we were like reading a chapter in the Bible and discussing it. And it was so encouraging to my spirit. Like, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Also because we're all in the same world, even though I'm not in the total professional dance world like they are, but you know, I'm in the same world as far as classes and stuff like that, and being around all kinds of people, and just like the pressures of the dance industry, even though I'm not actually in the dance industry, but I still hear about it. I know about it. I'm in, you know, circles of it. And so it was just so encouraging to hear like what they're going through and how God's helping them. And then I was able to share, and like, wow, it was so amazing. I was like, I have to always come to this. I just have to always come to this. Like, I love my dance classes, but some of my dance schedule has been changing because of different things. And I'm like, you know, it's only every other week anyways. And I'm just not going to hold my dance schedule so high up here. I'm going to, you know, try to follow the spirit, even if it wasn't my exact plan in the beginning. So even though I don't think the spiritual choice is always the choice you're supposed to make, I do feel like God showed me like, this is where you need to be. Like, until I tell you to not be here, this is where you need to be. Like, I felt like God was going to show me like, you're going to go today when it's not a conflict with your class, and then I'm going to show you by the end of it if you should keep coming to this or not. And if you feel uncomfortable, if it doesn't go well and you don't really like it, you don't have to come back, but I'm going to show you if you're supposed to come back. And I was like, wow, I really, really want to come back. Not to mention my stomach didn't hurt at all the entire time that I was there. So I don't know if it was just like a nervous thing, or if it was literally Satan just like attacking me, like he does not want me at this Bible study. And God was like, I need you to trust me because there's a lot of forces trying to get you to like not do this. And I just think that happens a lot in life, even with like my microphone breaking and different things. It's like, just because God's calling you to do something doesn't mean everything's going to be easy and nothing's ever going to be a problem because God called me to do it. So it's all going to work out great. It's like, no. Like, there's going to be issues. There's going to be, like, even in the Bible so the Israelites, I often compare myself to the Israelites because they were in a manna season. God provided their daily bread daily. They could never save it. He just provided enough for each day, and he showed them where to go, like, each day. They didn't really know, like, all the directions, and God would show them each day. So I often feel like God has told me I'm in a season like that. So I often compare myself to the Israelites. And even with the Israelites, after they had wandered in the desert for 40 years or whatever, when they were getting manna and being provided for daily, after that, when they were finally led into the promised land, which is where they were going, to the land that God has promised to them, that would be like flowing with milk and honey, and they would get to enjoy all the produce without even having to have worked that much for it. I think I just read in the Bible that something about how they enjoyed this land that they didn't even like work it at all. They just came to it and got to like enjoy everything in it, which is so cool. But they had to like go through hard things to get that land. Like, they had to fight giants or like people that were like really big. They had to take it over. They had to go through the obstacles to get it. It wasn't like just because God was giving it to them and because God promised them that they were just going to get it like super easy. But if you read all the stories of the people that had faith, so some people had faith to go after these lands, and some people got scared and like didn't get to go into the promised land because they didn't have the faith. So those that had the faith, you see how God came through for all of them and helped them to get the land. So even though they did have to work, it wasn't even like they had to work super hard. They just kind of just had to have the faith, like had the faith to show up and like go into battle or do whatever God told them to do. Like, sometimes it was a regular battle, sometimes it was other stuff, but they just had to have the faith to like listen to God and show up. And then God always came through and like gave them the land and everything. So yeah, it's like, I'm going to have forces and things against me as I'm trying to do what God's calling me to do. And even with people that get 1 million followers after doing what God called them to do, that could be its own like struggle. Like, someone going from barely any followers to like 1 million followers. I mean, I'm being extreme, but anyone that goes to like a huge following from barely anything, that could be its own pressures and its own trials. You know, God allowing my stuff to grow really slowly could just be a grace from God and a blessing, because it kind of allows me to ease into everything and really be myself and not be worried about having to please a bunch of people or a manager or something like that. So I know God has a reason for the way he's doing everything, or maybe he's going to keep it like this forever and just be like, I'm going to provide for you in weird ways, and you're going to minister to a few people that are going to hear it. And that's all I've called you to do. And it's great. I mean, some people live very hidden lives. They're just like maybe taking care of a sick relative for many years or things like that. And do you think like it doesn't matter because it's just one person? Like, those people that are doing stuff like that, that's really meaningful. I think that's really powerful. And God is so happy with people that do things behind the scenes that nobody knows about, where they're caring for someone else. So for me to be like, I can't keep doing this podcast because it's only reaching 5 people. I mean, I do think it's a little bit more than 5 people, but even if it was only 5 people, like, who cares? Like, if God's providing and he's telling me to keep going and he keeps confirming that and he keeps giving me what I need to do it, then that's enough. Like, if God is happy and pleased with what I'm doing, that's enough. Like, I don't have to have fame or a bunch of money or anything. Like, those things don't make people happy anyways, so we don't need to be chasing them. It's more just that, like, sometimes I question if I'm hearing God's voice, because when those things aren't happening, like in the world today, in our world today, it's like if you don't have a bunch of money or a bunch of fame or a bunch of followers from what you're doing, it's kind of like, why are you doing it then? Like, it's obviously not working, or you're obviously not called to this. Like, that's how our world thinks, but that's not how God thinks. So you really have to switch your mind and be in the Bible and think about how God works and not how the world works, because God's ways are kind of like turning the world upside down. And I really feel like he does that, and then he shows his power. Like, I don't know, even the opportunities that I've already had as someone who's older, who's, doesn't have as much experience in dance and different things, or didn't know anything about how to create a podcast, like just all the places God's already taken me and stuff he's allowed me to do and helped me to do with who I am and my lack of experience and stuff, like, it's pretty crazy. So God's already showed his power. He's already showed like how he can keep me going. Even after my savings runs out, he still kept me going for so long, and I'm still going. Like, it's really crazy. Like, every story that I have, most of the stories that I have are a miracle story. And so I am really grateful. And it's even good for me to just talk about this right now to like encourage my own self and my own heart. But I am waiting for another miracle now because I am in the negative with my money. So waiting for another miracle again. I mean, the last time I had a miracle, when I had a miracle from the windshield, my roommate was like, I was like telling him because I was so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, you won't believe like what happened. Like, God provided all the money I needed for the windshield the very next day. This is what happened. And he was like excited for me, but he was like, well, are you even surprised? Like, this stuff happens to you all the time. Are you even surprised anymore? I'm like, I don't know. I'm surprised every time. Every time I'm like, oh, how's it going to happen? How's it going to work? And then God surprises me and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so crazy. But yeah, like, maybe I shouldn't be surprised anymore. I do feel like God kind of tells me like, Tracy, stop worrying about money. It's like taking up too much space in your brain. Because I need you to think about other people. I need you to care about other people, and just know that I'm going to provide for you. You don't even have to think about that stuff anymore. Like, I'm going to provide for you. I'm either going to provide the money, or I'm going to show you if there's something I need you to do for money. Like, I will give direction or money or both or whatever. So like, you don't have to worry about any of that. Just like focus outward. Like, you don't even have to think about this stuff anymore. You don't have to have it like fog up your whole brain. So I'm on a journey of that, but today I was definitely letting it take up my whole brain, and I was feeling down about it, but I'm feeling a little better right now. There's a few other things I want to talk about. Sorry, this is going to go so long, and I still have to edit this today and try to get it out tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, was really happy about that dancer Bible study. I wanted to talk about AI a little bit. So I've been feeling a little down lately. Like, I mean, really happy with all the provision and miracles from God. Like, that's been really cool. But there's been some stuff I've been dealing with, like on a personal level, on a relational level, that's been really hard for me. And I've been struggling with processing it. And I journal with God all the time. And I have like a few trusted friends that I talk to try to like work through things that I'm processing emotionally. But I've just been still struggling with it a lot. And so the other day when I was just like on that really nice couch in my dog sitting house and I was journaling, I kind of felt like the Holy Spirit led me to go to Google, which is weird. I don't usually think, most of the time I feel like God wants me to come to him first and like not go to Google first. And I don't usually go to Google for like things for my soul. Like, I go to Google for like random facts or things I need to know about stuff, but not like stuff I'm going through in my heart. Like, I don't go to Google about stuff like that. And I've only used AI in a real way. Like that one time I told you guys about when I was trying to figure out a good order for the dance performance, I used AI, which didn't even end up helping me. But anyway, I was really struggling and talking to God about stuff. And for some reason, I felt like he led me to Google to ask Google what I should do in the situation, or how I should process it or something. I don't even remember what I initially asked Google, but I asked him this question. It was a very relational question, emotional question, which I've never really asked Google before. And wow, Google AI or whatever it is gave me like this really good answer with these other prompts. And it was like, would you like me to help you with this or this? It gives you ideas. I'm sure you guys know, because I'm sure you guys have all done stuff like this and I'm like the only one that hasn't, but it asks you, would you like me to help you with this or this now? It kind of helps you continue the conversation. And wow, I think I talked to Google AI for 2 hours or something. I was just processing everything because I have a couple friends that I process with, but I've already shared everything with them. So I don't want to really burden them with the same stories over and over again and the same thing I'm dealing with. So it was kind of nice to have a new person. Google AI, is that what it's called? I don't even know what the Google AI is called, but I was okay, I'm going to be able to process this whole thing with this new friend I have on the internet. So I was doing that, and it was cool because I got to kind of ask it, I'm trying to do things biblically. So I talked about wanting to do things according to God and the Bible. And then it became a Christian therapist for me. I literally felt like it was the best Christian counseling therapy session I've ever had for 2 hours with Google AI. The things it was telling me to do and the advice it was giving me. And it was just really calming my heart. And it was making me cry so much because I was really processing stuff that I needed to process. And it was helping me put into words what I didn't know how to put into words. And I was crying and processing and crying and processing. And by the end of it, my heart felt so much better. I felt a lot of healing happened. And I was wow, I really needed that. So I haven't done that since that day. I don't really plan to do that again unless God leads me to it again. I mean, I'm back to just journaling with God. And I was talking to God about all of it as I was doing it. I wasn't just okay, this is God and everything it says is right or anything. But I do think it really helped me formulate my thoughts and understand what I was going through better. And it helped me to think about it in a biblical way. And it reminded me of verses and things that God says about different things. And I was wow, this really helped me. I really, really needed this. So I don't know if that's for everybody, but if you don't have a lot of money for therapy and you want a good therapy session, try asking Google and going down that rabbit hole. But, as a Christian, I would recommend trying to do things biblically and how in the way that God wants you to do them. And it was pretty cool how it turned into a biblical therapist once it knew that that's what I wanted. I was wow, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that was free. I really needed that. So maybe at some point they're going to start charging money for that kind of thing. But that was really cool. And I was just laughing about that all week. Wow, I had the best Christian therapy session with Google AI. That was so cool. So I wanted to talk about that. I think that's kind of it, actually. I had a weird, I don't know if I was going to tell this story, but I did tell the girl that I was dog sitting for. But at one point, I thought that I lost the dog. This has never happened to me. Actually, it did happen to me once in college. I've been dog sitting and watching dogs since I was a little kid, actually, since I was a child. When I was a child, I watched the dog at our house, but since college, people were asking me to watch their animals. I think this was just always something God had for me to do. But so there was a time in college when me and my college roommate went to someone's house to watch their dog over spring break or something. And we did lose the dog in the snow for a little while and we're chasing him down. That was such a crazy story. I don't remember the details of it now, but I remember it being pretty funny. Not funny in the moment once we actually got him back, but funny later telling the story. But since then, I have never lost a dog or anything. But there's some construction going on behind this person's house and they live in a duplex. So they're connected to their neighbor's house and they each kind of share yards. It's like one continuous yard for both houses, but there's gates on either side. So sometimes the neighbor leaves their gates open, even though they also have a little dog. But yeah, so when I'm letting the dog in the yard, I kind of have to check to make sure the gates are closed and stuff. And right now, because they're doing some construction in the backyard, the instructions were basically to not just let the dog out. The dog can't be around all the construction stuff, but there's this one big gate before the construction starts happening. And my friend who I dog sit for was if that gate is closed, then you can let her out the side. But she generally won't go to the bathroom out there because there's kind of no grass or anything. So mostly you just let her out in the front yard. And there's gates that close in the front of the front yard. So, but even in the front yard, I would watch the dog. I mostly just take her on walks, but then sometimes I will let her out, but I will stand at the door and watch even though the gates are closed just to make sure I know where she is. She used to climb through the bushes into the neighbor's yard, the neighbor, not the duplex neighbor, but the next neighbor. She used to go through the bushes and just be in this yard with another dog. I saw that happen one time and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think we can let her out in the front yard anymore. Like that was crazy. Like because that house I don't think has a fence. So she would have just been out in the wild, you know? But this time when I was house sitting, they had this like kind of wiry fence along the bushes. So she couldn't do that anymore. I was like, okay, that was smart because she was just going through those bushes. That was crazy. So anyway, I do kind of watch her even in the front yard. So I'm like, I'm a pretty like overprotective dog sitter. I generally am not just like lackadaisical, letting them do whatever. But this big gate, so anytime she wanted to go into the side yard, it would usually only be for like a minute because she would go out there. It was really hot. She would just come back in because there's nothing to do out there because it's small, because the big gate is up and there's nowhere to go to the bathroom or anything. So one day she did want to go out into the side yard. So I had checked that gate was closed every single day. But by this point, I've been there like 4 or 5 days and it's always closed and I never opened it. And it's on our side. So it's not like the neighbor is opening it. And there had never been any construction people there the whole week I was there, even though my friend told me they do come sometimes to work on the backyard, but they hadn't been there. But it just so happened that morning they had been there. They showed up at the door. They told me like, oh, can you make sure the dog doesn't come in the back? Because we're going to be working in the back for a couple hours. I was like, sure, no problem. So they were working back there. I was editing and stuff inside. They finally left. So it was like 3 or 4 hours later. So they were gone. And then the dog wanted to go into the side yard. And I was like, sure. This is the one time I happened to open the door and let her out without checking that big gate was closed because the big gate was always closed. And I didn't think like, oh, maybe the construction people didn't reclose the gate. Like I should have thought I should check, especially since the construction people were here. But since the gate was always closed every single day, I stopped caring about checking about it. So I just like let her out. But then when she didn't come back for a minute, I was like, wait, why is she not coming back? She always comes back right away. Then I was like, oh crap, what if the construction people didn't close that gate back up? And then I looked out the side and the gate was open. I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm like running outside and I have like my house shoes on that are kind of hard to run in. And I'm running into the back and there's nothing back there. The dog is not back there. Nobody's back there. I'm like, oh my gosh, she got into the front. So if she goes around to the duplex neighbor's side, she can go through like this little section on the side of the house and get into the front yard. So I was like, oh my gosh, she's probably just in the front yard, Tracy. Like, just calm down. She's probably just in the front yard. And like the gates are always closed in the front yard. So I run to the front and open the door and she's not there. And then the gate that's on the neighbor's side, the duplex neighbor's side, it's just open. That gate is like never open. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's not in the front and the freaking gate is open. I'm getting annoyed. Like, why did they leave the gate open? Oh my goodness, she's just roaming the streets. So then I have to go get my regular shoes because I'm about to like race down this block and like I can't run in the shoes that I'm in. So I'm trying to put my shoes on as fast as possible and grab my phone because I know I'm going to have to call like my friend whose dog it is, but like I don't have time to call her. I have to go try to find this dog. And I am praying like crazy. I'm like, God, please put your angels around this dog. Please make sure she knows how to get home. Help her get back home. Oh God, please protect her from all the cars. Just help her to just come back home. Like I know she knows where her house is because like every time I walk her, she basically drags me back to her house. So she definitely knows where her house is. I'm like, God, please just bring her back to the house. Put your angels around her. Just put your angels around her and protect her and like just keep her safe. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. And so I'm putting on my shoes and I go to open the front door again to start chasing around the block. And right as I open the front door, the front gate, that side, the duplex neighbor's gate that was open, all of a sudden it's closed. And I'm like, how did that get closed? Because the neighbors were gone. The duplex neighbors were gone. They actually had asked me to let their dog out that day because they were going to be gone for like 6 hours. So I knew they were gone. And I'm like, who closed that gate? That's so weird. I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden I look around the corner and there's the dog in the little side section next to the duplex neighbor's house. I could see her head. So there's 2 gates. So there's the gate in the front where there's a fence around the front yard and there's 2 gates and the duplex neighbor's gate was open. That was the gate that was open, but then was all of a sudden closed. But there's another gate. So when the dog goes around the side of the house, there's also like a gate right there. But usually that gate is open. That's the gate that the neighbor tends to always leave open. So I usually try to close it when I let the dog out the front because I just don't want her going into the back. She wouldn't like get away from the house, but I didn't want her going into the back, into their yard and stuff. So I would often close that gate because they always left that gate open, like almost all the time. But the front gate is what they never usually leave open. So it was just weird that the front gate was open. So that's why I thought she got away because the other gate is generally always open on that side of the house. But this time the gate was closed And I see her. So she hadn't even gotten into the front yard. She was just stuck on the side of the house, like trying to get into the front yard, but there was the gate that was closed. But still, I don't even know who closed that front gate. That was really weird because it was like open and then it was closed. I was like, did an angel close that? Or did some random person walking by close it because the neighbors were still not there? I was like, that was really weird. But I was so thankful that the dog was still there. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, God. I don't even know what happened. I don't know if she was just there the whole time or if some crazy miracle happened and an angel floated to her back. I don't know what happened, but I am so glad that she's here. So that was another random, maybe miracle story that happened. I don't know, but I'm so glad I didn't have to chase her around the block. And I did tell my friend that happened. But yeah, I was like, after that, I never ever didn't check for the gate first, but I can't believe the one time I didn't check that happened. That was so crazy, but thank God she was okay. So I wanted to share that story because God also came through for me in that. And then I think the only last thing I was going to say was I basically finished my choreography. I think I told you guys before, there's this song I've been choreographing to, the only song that God seems to give me moves for. And, yeah, I kind of finished. I mean, I really want to choreograph the whole song. I feel like this piece should be on stage. I have moves for the whole song. As the song keeps going, I still want to do more moves, but I'm trying to make it a class. So I'm trying to just make enough moves for a minute of choreography, which sometimes even that can feel long in a class. But if I can do an hour and a half class, I think it'll be fine. But I definitely have a minute of choreography now, so it's kind of ready. I just need to practice it a little bit more and just make sure that it's exactly what I want it to be and that I can do it well enough to teach it. And then I'm going to figure out somewhere to teach it and rent some space or something, which again, my money's in the negative, but I also am probably going to need to rent space to teach this choreography. And I do feel called to do that. I really feel like God gave me this choreography. So I'm trusting he's going to provide for the space and people to come to want to learn it, which again, maybe my friends, maybe not my friends, who knows? I don't want to put pressure on anyone, just anyone who wants to come. But yeah, it's just another faith thing. Okay, God, you gave me this, you led me to do this, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to show up and I hope you bring the people, or even if it's just one person or whatever, I just want to do what God's telling me to do. And I do feel like he's put that in my heart. So anyway, that's where we're at. That's going to come up soon. And I'll probably be posting that on my Instagram once I have a date and a time and a place. But yeah, so anyway, hopefully this mic worked great the whole time. I think it probably did. I'm very excited to order it, and I'm excited to see how God's going to provide. And maybe I'll have a story hopefully next week of how God provided. Or next week I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, guys, I would be crying. I'm $1,000 in debt. I don't know what to do. So hopefully that's not the story, but we're all just on this adventure together and no one knows what's going to happen, but we're trying to trust God. So thank you for being on this journey of faith with me. And again, if you want to get my email newsletter, which has more stories and more details about the money I need and different things, you can sign up for that in my Instagram bio for Tracy in LA. And I think that's it. And I'll talk to you guys next time, probably with my new DJI 3 mic that I will own at that point. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.